Our guest today asked that question and then built a firm around the answer. Elise Buie is the founder of Elise Buie Family Law Group in Seattle. She's been featured in HuffPost, Psychology Today, and the Seattle Times, not for chasing hours, but for putting families first. Today we're exploring what comes next, beyond billable hours, and how AI is reshaping legal practice.
It's good that we get together to have this conversation, and thank you very much for the time on this Friday evening. Hope you had a
Oh,
lovely week,
yeah.
and yeah, tell me about it. How was your week, and what is your typical day, and what you do normally?
Oh, well, that's kind of a loaded question. What is my typical day and what do I do normally? Well, one, my week was good. I just went on a big road trip. So I just got back from driving across the country from New Orleans to the Pacific Northwest, which is like 2,800 miles. So it's kind of a long journey.
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of Texas, I have to tell you. There's a lot of
Mm.
Texas in the middle there. But we could talk about that on another day. um, So I would say a typical day, I spend a few hours dealing with the leadership of our firm, doing leadership related things, whether it's developing my leaders, working on various data reports that are
Mhm.
coming to me so that, we can be making decisions based on the data we see. And then I also do work with law firm owners, around the country in my consulting business. So I just got off the phone with off of Zoom with a consulting client. And then I have a very few handful of cases myself that I work on, mostly collaborative law cases. Um, and that's mostly, I just have an attorney who's out on leave. And so I took over some of her cases while she was out to just, make that
Mhm.
be fair to everybody. And so, yeah, that is what I typically do.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, that sums it up very well. Yes, I used to run law firms myself, and at some point I decided that I don't take cases myself. It was in the UK. I was dealing with family cases, with crime. I was doing property conveyancing as well, and crime was my favorite and my strongest point. I was always in magistrate, crown court. But at some point, I felt like if I want to manage my law firm, I have to slow down with that. So I took less and less cases in the end. Towards the end, I was not having any more cases. I was just dealing with management, which is quite a lot. And not many people realize that running a law firm is basically it's a business. Even though we always have the lawyer's hat on, and we consider ourselves as professionals, and we feel like lawyering is the best thing we do, and we the thing that we do best, but at the same time we have responsibilities towards our staff. We have to take care of the firms, marketing. It's a business, and it really requires attention very much, and like many other businesses, you have to take care of everything. Yeah, and the exciting thing is that AI is here to help us do that more
Yeah.
effectively and more efficiently. So tell me about that, how it helps your journey as managing firm.
Sure. I use AI a lot as I would call my strategic partner, also as the thing that will really push back on me. I mean, and actually, I sometimes think it's somewhat abusive, but I mean, I've set it up to be that way, to not, I don't want anything that's just going to nod along and be like, yes, Elise, that's a great idea. I want it to really push back on me and question and push back on assumptions, push back on my biases. And so
Mhm.
I use it as a very strong strategic partner. And
Wow.
I think that that has been very helpful for me as I help develop the leaders in my office too,
Mhm.
because, a lot of times I'll see things and a leader might be asking a question of a vendor or maybe of their direct report that is kind of the right question, but it's not kind of the right question, like they're not going
Mhm.
deep enough and they're not getting to the bottom of something. Like recently, somebody was going to ask a marketing vendor, like, well, what is a normal, booking rate for a paid lead? And I'm like, that is not a helpful question for our vendor. Like, we want to know, what is a normal booking rate for a firm at our level with our marketing spend, with our channel mix, and what is the ROI on each channel in scaling that, and so really helping dig in and ask better questions. I think that is one of the biggest things that AI has helped me with. And it's also helped me with larger projects around developing leaders. We started a program this year where our leaders do these weekly recaps, and I've really dug in on the impact of those weekly recaps, and like, were they just reporting on activity, or are they reporting on outcomes, and are they reporting on the bets they're making each week, and what are the constraints they're finding, how are they removing those constraints, like really trying to level up my leaders thinking as well.
Yeah, that is brilliant to hear. I'm really surprised and happy to hear that not many top managers are having this sort of attitude towards technology and AI. And so we have leaders who are still, fear of unknown. When there is something that you don't know well, you naturally are afraid of it, and you are biased, and you feel like you hear something and that sticks in you because instinctively we want to survive. And if something attacks our survival and you hear the bias and data security and privacy and blah blah, as soon as you hear these buzzwords, many managers are afraid of even touching it, and by the time they wake up, competitors have already done it and they feel like they've moved ahead with it. So it's good that to be in that sense. And also lower level management sometimes cause problems as well, because there is this fear among staff. Maybe you can talk to me more about it, that when it comes to implementing AI solutions, deep down, people feel like AI is coming for their jobs, which is true, but it's not the total truth. AI can come actually to help firms to grow and maybe even open up more jobs, more opportunities for more people to come in. So it's not totally true, but this assumption is a resistance creator among team members, and sometimes naturally they oppose and they don't help with implementations. I don't know if you have these sort of attitudes and how you deal with it.
Yeah, well, I would say in our firm, we have a variety of attitudes about AI. I would say most of the resistance we have actually stems from the environmental impacts of AI. People who just are kind of opposed to it, probably deeply philosophically, because of the environmental impacts, the water impacts, those types of things. And so those are kind of hard to address. You know what I mean? As far as
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have any great answer for what is going to happen to our water supply and what that's going to look like. I think as far as AI taking over jobs, I think in a family law firm in particular, it's unlikely to take over jobs, because I think the profession is really focused on emotional intelligence. And I mean, your ability to use emotional intelligence strategically in representing families, where you can help not only your client, but help the whole process get to a resolution that makes sense for the entire family, rather than just looking at it as a win versus lose model. I mean, I tend to look at family law more as a win-win-win, with my idea being, you want each parent to win, but I mean, most importantly, I would love for the children to win. And I would love for divorce to end in a way that the children remain psychologically sound and can develop and engage in healthy relationships with each parent, no matter the state of the parent now. Like, there's a lot of ways kids can develop healthy rapport, even if a parent might not be at their best in this moment. But one, I'm a firm believer that people can change over time, but I also think that guidelines and safety can be put into place where a child can still maintain a relationship with a parent. Now, obviously, there are some exceptions. I don't mean to say, you would ever, and I don't ever mean to say I would put a child at risk, either emotionally or physically. But, there are scenarios where children can have rapport with their parent that is safe, both emotionally and physically, even though that parent might not be ideal, but a lot of times that relationship is an important part of that child's psychological well-being. Even if later in life that child might decide, oh, this parent is not really very healthy, and I'm going to change the context of my relationship. But for a child to make that decision as they become an adult is often much healthier, than for the divorce process to do it in such a way where it's pretty arbitrary and there's not a lot of nuance. And so I'm a firm believer in bringing your emotional intelligence to your clients so that nuance can come into this, so that we can focus on the children's well-being. And I don't think AI is going to take over that. I really don't.
Totally agree with you. AI, you might see clients are using it, and you might see some associates are trying to get good answers from AI. But people should realize, and once you understand this is just an algorithm, it is trained to behave in a certain way, and it treats you as a paying subscriber. So that means whatever you are asking, it tries to please you. It doesn't see the whole picture. Whereas you, as a lawyer, you see the family, you see the children, you see the whole picture, and you have emotional intelligence. You have years of experience dealing with so many different scenarios. So no AI ever can replace you. That is 100% true. However, I would say maybe people might be afraid that maybe in 10 years' time, AI will reach to a capacity that many lower level paralegal or associate work can be done better with AI, because let's face it, even though in terms of emotional intelligence, it's nowhere near human capacity, but in many other ways, AI is better in terms of memory, in terms of efficiency. It never forgets anything. It never doesn't do anything that you don't ask them. It always follows the instructions. It doesn't go on off sick or leave. It's always there. So once you train an AI, we have trained so many AI agents to do certain things in our business. Once you train, it follows instructions, it's amazing. And in that sense, I would say the best way is to combine, to not be afraid of AI, use it for the things that AI is best, at the same time use humans to do the things that they are best. One example I always give, I saw that you have a chatbot on your website as well, and we create chatbots as well for many businesses. So I tell the receptionists who might be afraid that this chatbot is going to take their job, I tell them, no, you get so many emails, people ask you so many repetitive questions, and sometimes you get tired of answering the same questions. Let that be done by AI, and then you deal with the quality conversation with the client. Then you have more time to give the human touch to the client. That way, everybody's happy, People who really
100%.
want to come to get a quick answer, they go to the chatbot and they say thank you. And the chatbots that we make, actually, people say thank you so much because it's so trained well on the content and it answers all the questions very well. So it's a win-win-win situation, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think that what you just mentioned is really dead on. I think the personal touch of things, and in our firm, we really look to Will Gadara's book on unreasonable hospitality, and we have a really strong bent towards unreasonable hospitality, both internally to our team, but also externally to our clients. And AI will not take that away because, when I find out, let's say that a team member is maybe suffering and, maybe they have a child sick or in the hospital or something. I mean, my unreasonable hospitality allows me to go in and do those things that only I can do, like know whether maybe they don't have grandparents around. So maybe they need meals brought to their home for the next week or two to cover that. Or maybe, that mom needs a certain thing at the hospital to make her feel more comfortable. You know, maybe she needs to record things for her son at home or whatever. You know, there's so many things that can be done from an unreasonable hospitality standpoint. And again, I don't think businesses can have enough of that. Like, I mean, you know, I
Yes.
feel like if I had the money of Oprah, I would be just the unreasonable hospitality queen. You know, like I would just be finding ways to reach people. I mean, because we see it all the time in family law, you know, like, I mean, just today I got an email from a client and you could tell she was just, I mean, down and out, you know, just really feeling like she was a victim of the process and how is she going to get through this? And it's taking a long time. And, you know, she's worried about her investment accounts and being able to respond to her and actually hear her and really let her know that I get it, you know, and that this is a real thing, but that it's also temporary. And, you know, here are some ideas to kind of refocus her where she can stay positive and help get to the end, but also acknowledge that, I mean, it's a crappy process, you know, and I think that, I don't know. I just think that the more and more we can relate to each other, human to human, and that I think law firms will be fine if they have that part of their culture
That is
where
amazing. Yeah.
where it's an
Yeah, what
important
you
part
touch
of it.
upon. Yeah, unreasonable hospitality, that shows the mentality. And I see a lot of lawyers burnt out after some time. And I know the answer. The answer is if you are transactional and you want to do a service for money, no money can cover a lot of what we do as lawyers. It doesn't get paid, even if they pay you double than what they pay you. Sometimes you feel the amount of energy and emotions and dedication you have put into it. If you just do it for the transaction, you feel burnt out. You feel like naturally, what am I doing? I'm doing all this and for money. Whereas if you have it in you that you want to serve, you want to do unreasonable hospitalities and that sort of thing, you want to go beyond because you want to help someone, and in the process, of course, this is money comes as well. That way you don't feel burnt out because you feel this is part of the things you do, and you feel happier as well, and you don't leave the job after 10 years and move on for another job because you are burnt out. Don't you think that's
I do. And it's interesting. I have this, it's kind of my own version of trickle down economics, even though I don't really think trickle down economics actually works, but that's a whole nother conversation. I actually believe wholeheartedly that if I pour into my team as much as humanly possible, my team then pours into our clients, and our clients then can pour into their children. And I mean, because
yes.
my ultimate goal is that children do not suffer through the divorce process, that the divorce process becomes one that's more transformational than traumatic, where they can now see each parent living on their own, being their best selves, parenting to their best ability, and the children can go between two healthy households. I don't believe that living in one dysfunctional household is necessarily better for children. And so I feel very strongly that my highest goal is to pour into my team and really figure out, like, how can I not only help them where they have real purpose and value to what they're doing, but they also have the flexibility and the agency. I mean, we have a firm that's very structured around what I call life work integration. I mean, we do not set like billable hours for attorneys. Attorneys choose their own hours. I mean, we have a very, like, I don't know what each attorney can bill. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what each attorney's life is outside all those details. And then we also do programs where we have this 30 is the new 40, where a lot of hourly employees can hit their KPIs in 30 hours a week, and then they get paid like they're working 40 hours. So we incentivize them on delegation, various efficiencies. So that is where AI can come in and be very helpful to them, where they can get their work done more efficiently and
Yes.
and then be done at 30 hours and get those extra 10 hours back into their life, which is a huge benefit for many people. That's I mean, the gift of time, I think, is something that a lot of times we overlook as an important part of just this whole work-life balance people try to create.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I think AI is here to help with that. And I have seen it, the examples of it. The things that I used to spend a lot of time is being done. We recently started using Cloud Code. So basically, VS Code, we installed it and we train AI agents to do certain things. It's connected to my emails, connected to everything I do, and it's local. There is no risk. It's on this very laptop, nothing goes outside, and it is taking away a lot of things that I used to do on a repetitive basis, and it's helping me a lot. The other thing, we lawyers have to sometimes we have to put the hat of data hat on,
Oh
which
yeah,
understands the data. Before it was very difficult. You had to, read so many things. You had to look at so many analysis. Now all that can be done in a fraction of minutes by AI, and then you don't walk into the dark. You
totally.
work with data, and it's so beautiful. It's like you open your eyes suddenly and you make decisions, with the information, not just trying to test it and guessing.
Totally.
Let's try this, maybe this is the answer, maybe if we do this that might work. So the time of this sort of guesswork is over, and it should be over. If somebody is still doing guesswork, let's try this to see if it works or not, I would say it is backdated. With
Yeah.
AI, you shouldn't be doing that anymore because it can give you all the information. You don't have to do any guesswork anymore.
Exactly. Well, especially with data. I mean, I am such a data fiend. I mean, I drive my team crazy. Like we run so much data in our office, like really understanding so many things. And I mean, the AI use with the data has been revolutionary, really being able to look at our current data, understand where we have holes, where there are assumptions that have been made in the initial formulas or initial things, and changing those. And so yeah, I find that AI has been really powerful. And I think a lot of us lawyers, I mean, I didn't go to school to become a data person. I mean, that was nowhere in my education. But I mean, I have, before AI and then now, have become just such a data person. And I think it helps us run our firm so much better because we're not relying on anybody's stomach or their gut, about what they think, or, because I'm like, yeah, I don't really care what your tummy tells you. I'm like, show me the numbers.
Wow, this is incredible. I'm really surprised. Unbelievable. I don't talk to many people who have this level of understanding of running a business on the top of data, this much, this dedication. This is incredible. So yeah, data efficiency. What I also noticed that clients' attitudes are also changing because they've seen the technology,
Yeah,
they're using it.
for
And
sure.
if they deal with a firm, that is the conversation I have with many managing law firms who are a bit skeptical about the use of AI. I'd say, okay, you are skeptical because your IT guy is telling you, I have this conversation with them as well, that there is risk and that, and they don't explain to you what is the risk and how you can mitigate it. But what about expectations from your clients? Your clients go to your website and deal with your business and expect efficiency and see that you are still working in a Stone Age way. Then they feel like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Let me talk to someone who is as fast as I am. I'm efficient. I want you to deal with my work efficiently as well. So because of expectation changing, we have to also change, and I'm sure you do as well. And what is your message regarding this and
Yeah, well,
experience?
it's an interesting question. And this is probably going to sound a little, I don't know, I hate to use the word cocky, but lucky for us, we are probably very far ahead of the curve, just in general on efficiency in things because we do and have tracked our data for so long. And, we track things like delegation percentages among team members and, we track all kinds of things. So I suspect that we will be on the lower end of having people, kind of come at us with, oh my gosh, you're totally in the dark ages. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're not at that place where that is going to be our message yet. Clearly, it could become that, I think, if we don't keep up and keep moving, with what needs to happen. I do think, though, that there is such a balance dealing with clients because, of course, as attorneys, we all get things from clients that are clearly generated by like Chat GPT or something, and they'll send us something. And in my mind, it is very important that I don't take offense at that and that I don't in any way feel any kind of way except be grateful that the client is trying to engage in the legal process and they're trying to participate. And so I know I have some attorneys and some people in my office, and you'll see that they'll just get angry about that, when a client sends them something. And I try to show them and coach them around actually be grateful that this person is caring and they're trying to be engaged. And this is an opportunity for you to layer in the emotional intelligence and your experience needed to help them understand why their AI answer might not be a full three-dimensional answer. And there might be some information lacking, and some assumptions and biases that have gone into it. So I actually appreciate when people send me their Chat GPT messages. And I do think, and I mean, I haven't really thought about it like this until now. I mean, it's kind of like anything else. I think your mindset really plays into this, like how do you look at an innovation like AI? And instead of being afraid of it, I really embrace it and try to figure out how can this help me? And maybe it's naive on my part, and I mean, it very well could be. I do not sit around and go, oh my gosh, AI is taking over my job or my firm or whatever. I just don't. I think it's just like any other. I mean, no doubt it's an exceedingly powerful innovation. I don't mean to diminish it, but I just don't think that lawyers are going to find that their judgment has become obsolete.
No, definitely no. The answer I give, to clients who come up with, you research this and you get AI is a powerful, it gives you powerful information. It's very accurate, but it's not a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. Your AI is not a lawyer, or somebody who goes for therapy, can say AI is not your therapist. I am a psychologist. I know everything about human psychology, but AI is not a psychologist. And many people who go to AI for therapy, they end up to problems, mental problems, because it always tries to, look after the client, and always whatever they ask, they say, yeah, you're right, it shouldn't be like this. Whereas if they go to a therapist, sometimes they tell them, no, you're not right. You should put yourself together. What do you think? That sort of thing. So it's the same with
Well,
lawyers as well.
and I think, though, that all of us, I mean, obviously, I don't mean to invoke abusive AI on other people. I think training the AI to actually push back and to not give you all this nonsensical affirming stuff is a very important part of using AI responsibly, so that,
Yes.
I mean, really, if you were to ever read the things that my AI will tell me sometimes, I mean, it'll be like, well, that's ridiculous, Elise. That was a bad idea based on a confirmatory
Yes.
bias of this. And I'm like, well, all right.
That's your AI. Yes.
But I
But
think that's
general
more
purpose
helpful.
AI, yeah, general purpose AI, because of the algorithm, it's general purpose, it gives try to satisfy the customer all the time, and it's not helpful with law and psychology and things like that. So that would be the answer that we give to clients all the time. Very interesting. So yeah, your AI is very tough on you sometimes then.
Very tough, very tough. But I really appreciate that. I think when you're using it in the way I do as a strategic thinking partner, somebody who
Mm,
will push back on my ideas and, really test the assumptions I've made and, like really help me
mm,
think through things differently. I think it's very powerful.
mm,
And a lot of times I don't think you can get that type of pushback when you're the
mm,
owner of a firm, even from a very healthy team who thrives
mm,
on, radical candor and feedback.
mm,
I think it's still hard for somebody to just be like, Elise, you're dead wrong. And that's a stupid
mm,
idea, you know? And so I
Interesting.
appreciate that.
I have an idea for you. I mean, when we talk about that, okay, AI is never gonna take our job. It's true about you in a specific term because the way you work, it's your personal brand. Your name is on your business, and your personality is reflected throughout your business. Whereas many law firms, they are just lawyers, I would say. They don't bring in their personality into the work, and for them, I would say there is a danger that AI can replace them because if you are just a lawyer, AI can be a better lawyer at some point. I wouldn't say now, but at some point, AI can be a typical good lawyer, but AI can never be a Elise Buie, it can never be because it's about personal brand. So I think, have you ever considered to replicate yourself in a form of like a custom GPT or something, recreate a digital version of yourself? Maybe your colleagues can use it. Maybe you are on a trip, you are busy, they can't reach you, they reach your digital avatar and ask that, and then test it and see what your clone or digital twin would answer, and then compare. Maybe that can work and can be useful in your business. What do you think?
Well, I think it's an interesting idea. And no, I haven't done it. Um, I think it's an interesting idea. And because of how I work in my firm, like, I mean, I am very removed from a lot of things because I do have a very robust leadership team that mostly runs the
Mm,
office, and so
mm,
I would be interested to see what they would think of that idea. I mean, they
mm.
might find it interesting. And yeah, I don't know. I have never given that any thought. I
if
mean, it would
if
be
you ever wanted to
interesting.
consider that, yeah, I'm happy to give you some tips on how to go about doing that. I
Okay.
think your personality and your way of work is very, very unique, and it would be good to preserve it in a form of a digital form, and then over time it can grow, it can be
Right.
trained, even become more and more clever, and there are things you may forget, but that version of you never forgets anything. It will have
Right.
all your knowledge, all your blogs, all your mentality, all your way of thinking, and that can be a useful tool. Think about
Oh, I think it sounds really interesting. I mean, I have all kinds of questions. You and I will have to have a conversation offline.
it. Yes.
But yeah, it's super interesting. And I think that there's a lot of ways that that could be really beneficial when you think of the
Mm.
knowledge that lives in your
Yes.
head sometimes. And I
Mm,
think of that mostly not so much in my firm, but in my consulting client version
mm,
because I have so much in my head about obviously all the mistakes I made in growing my
mm,
firm over the last decade or 11 years
mm,
and getting us
mm.
to where we are now. And if I could somehow download all that, I mean, I get asked
Wow.
all the time about, Elise, don't you want to write a book? And no, Elise doesn't really want to write a book. But but it's one of those things that, you
Yeah.
know, you could download a lot of those business errors and, mistakes you make and really help
Yes,
people kind of jump over that where they could do better faster and
absolutely.
learn from those mistakes.
Yes, and maybe people will pay subscription to use that at some point.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to monetize my brain one day, huh? Forget the book.
Oh, that was interesting conversation. Thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely.
Hopefully,
Thank
we'll have
you.
more conversation in due course. And I was really happy to talk to you. Have a lovely day, and we'll be in touch again.
Thank you so much and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You too. Bye bye.